morning everyone. So there is not much news today in the paper, but we will start with what we have. Yesterday we have discussed National Institutional Framework, Curriculum Framework. So based on this, the news of mother tongue is there. And I believe that I have discussed it significantly in the previous classes also, that how learning in mother tongue improves your overall skill. Why? Because we have heard about that, that ecological context, that you have to understand that and you relate with what you are reading. So based on ecological context, any student can develop a cognitive orientation and reorientation of any program, and that will improve and inculcate the theories and the overall intricacies of any subject. One. Two, that communication between teacher and children and student is very easy. So the conceptual clarity will be very much witnessed in the case of mother tongue. So based on that, it is recommended that from children from class 1 to class 8 should be taught in their mother tongue, and there are various studies which support it also. So this is the line of argument that has been made. Mother tongue is vital in framing the thinking and emotion of the people, which causes the comprehensive development of child, helping the student express himself, herself better. This will make school learning two-way communication between teacher and student. This is what we have discussed. Understanding the subject would boost the confidence of the student and propel him, her to continue with higher schooling, thus lowering the dropout rate. And we have seen that across India, various initiatives, even in the that Sagli initiative by the Maharashtra district, one of the Maharashtra district, is also highlighting that they are enrolling mother to understand the overall intricacies of the subject and to teach them, to teach any learning in the story form. Further, educating children in their mother tongue will also build a strong home school partnership in their learning. Parameter will be able to participate in parents will be that the same thing which we have discussed that happened in Maharashtra. Further, it will benefit the primary school teachers, as many of them find difficulty to express themselves in English, hence they are not able to transfer as much knowledge as they would like to, thus creating a knowledge deficit. See, basically there is this line that humans are animal in the world and with the world. Meaning, if we are able to see anything in the world and with the world, if we are able to see anything and if it has already happened with us, so we will be able to relate it. Okay, so this whole process of pedagogy, because we have seen that dropout ratio has failed too much during the times of COVID. Reason? Online learning in across the world, not in India, across the world, don't let you feel this thing. We learn in isolated way. Probably one or two people are sitting. In fact, one student are sitting. So you are not able to see the whole class. Moreover, the communication, the technology, everything is detached from us. But the same thing happens, just think about it, when 30 or 40 people are sitting in a class and one is trying to learn by watching and seeing other. So this process will definitely improve imitation. That is something called imitation pedagogy. When you learn anything by visualizing or seeing the other one. So this is imitation. So mother tongue help you understand the same ecology in which you were brought up. See, Delhi is different thing altogether, because there is a mad rush about teaching or about forcibly inculcating the English language in the overall frame of reference or overall context. But if we say in case of rural India and significant portion of India where the medium of communication is English and the daily communication language is Hindi or for that matter any of the other language, such issues can create a distortion in the overall cognitive ability. And this was proved by a case study of Oxford Universities, which revealed that mother tongue, those children who had the mother tongue as a medium of instruction outperformed the children who have a foreign language as the medium of instruction. Their ideas were rich, nuanced and original, with such better observation analysis that even some of the English medium students who have studied only in English right from the beginning are not getting it. So this is the issue about the mother tongue. But on the contrary, see, in the pedagogical sense it's fine. But what we are witnessing a tendency toward forcibly inculcating or forcing the medium of instructions in higher education such as medical, engineering. The medical part was done in the Madhya Pradesh, that the syllabus and the text will be in medical. But unfortunate part that even an organizations like UPSC is not able to translate correct English translation in Hindi, and we have seen the many instances that somehow and some way the translation was wrong in Hindi as compared to English. So saying that medical translation is completely will bring objectivity is in itself is a bit problematic. Second part, which you will find on the opportunity, yes, there is this news of India-Russia trade. So just you have to remember the data and nothing else. The data is that due to, and the logic is petrol and fertilizer. Because of that, India-Russia trade soared to the all-time high. This is the fact which you have to remember, and it has reached something around, that is 182 billion. That is the data. Further, CCI will be taken later. Yes, Shehan Karutwinkla has been awarded the Booker Prize. This is the news from the first phase, and we will directly switch to the open editorial page, where there is this news that what is the problem with measuring the global hunger index problem. So what they are saying, what this author is saying, that the issue is that it has only done in case of 3,000 houses, and not much was there to be decided from that. Only 3,000 houses has been surveyed in India, and across the world 1,000 houses has been surveyed. Further, the Food Organization hasn't released the standard errors. That is very important. That if there is malnutrition, then FAO has never released the standard accuracy. That that how much till what standardization it can be measured. So this was not released. Further, they also highlighted that these are the 4 criteria: portion of undernourished in the population, under 5 mortality, prevalence of stunting and wasting in children under 5, and based on this they found the global hunger index. So what they are saying, that the portion of stunting also exists in the rich society and even among the rich people. The wasting can be seen at many criteria. For example, pollution and overall condition of the air. This is also criteria which defines the wasting in the children. So how you are measuring this for identifying the hunger? Same goes with the undernourished, that you don't have the proper data. So the argument that this is the line of the government of India, that you see some organizations are trying to defame the India based on some criteria. But again, the issue is that if it is so bad for India, then it could have been worse for the world. But why India is ranked so low? So you see, the issue that can be analyzed. Yes, the problem exists. The infant mortality rate is there. So we need to improve that in the context rather than countering it and saying that this is biased and such other. The problem that is there has to be solved. And this was all about the article. Nothing much was there. Now further, this is important from the perspective of the prelims. Circular economy, life. lifestyle for environment has been launched in case of India, where you see the focus is on reduce, recycle, and reduce, reuse and recycle. So this is important from the perspective of the prelims. Life, an initiative by the UN, in fact, initiative by the government of India. First it is launched. UN Secretary General has launched it. So, and further he highlighted about the Quran and such other, that you know how circular economy in case of India exists and how tribals use it to a very great extent. So this was about the circular economy, and mission life will be essential and promising for the world to save the earth from the difficult period of crisis, overconsumption, which is the root cause of the triple crisis of climate change. It can be used in paper 3. Yes, there is also article which I forgot to mention, the climate front, written by Ajay Tyagi. There is nothing in this article, but what they are saying is that India should leverage its position on the G20 to create the responsibilities for the developed nation, so that they can help the developing nation and the LDCs to grow. And as such, even these, the data is quite repetitive, that you know India has this much population, that much population. Nothing is there in this article to be inferred upon. Further, yes, there is this very important news, and it is ongoing again, that we are few in the favor of views against the government offensive ideas on the social survey. So what we can devise or infer from this article is that they have given the data, but such data can be used in a very generic way, that we are entering into the era of attitude crystallization. Attitude crystallization. What is attitude crystallization? That you know, see, based on some policy, you just don't venture or try to see the government that it is doing right or wrong. This is attitude crystallization, and the social media is creating these tendencies, attitude crystallizations. And day before yesterday, we have seen this in context of network effect, and I hope that you remember that is what is network effect. That when a majority of the population follows a certain kind of tendencies, then without analyzing it, interpreting it, you just say that okay, it's fine, we are believing in that. So it creates a kind of a population which don't venture into such kind of you know, debate that right is good or wrong. So this is part about the few in favor of views against government offensive ideas on social media because of the majority network population. And we know how that opinion has been, or are being created on the social media by some paid up channels, some algorithmic mechanism. So which ultimately throws an important debate that, though not related with this part, but what is the future of democracy in the era of big tech? In the era of big tech. And this is very important to understand, because we are seeing the tendencies where the democracy and the parts of the democracy are questioned, not only in the case of opinion making, but also in the case of sovereignty. How? Sovereignty, when we talk about it, then we are talking about data localization. So this is a part which is important, and probably someday in the editorial it will be taken, data localization and such other issues. But ultimately we can say that there has been many incidences across the world. For example, Big Analytica, or the what Bolsonaro did in Brazil. So the tendency towards attitude crystallization by some manufactured consent, which is driven from the top, is creating a kind of distortions in the overall exercise of the choice by the democratic method. So this is a threat to democracy. Now, yes, Liz Truss resigned. Again, it is again in the phase of developing news. So what will happen is of some concern to us, but maybe they will be voting. If there are more than 4 or 5 candidates, then there will be election. But it is being argued that maybe most of the people will withdraw from the election bid. So Rishi Sunak and there are chances that the previous PM Boris Johnson can enter into the fray, and probably the day Prime Minister will be nominated again or appointed again, we will discuss it. But the thing that has to be understood, and which we have discussed in this context, is that why the government of Liz Truss failed to first of all. So the region where we can say that the modus operandi was chosen was corporate tax, cut down in the corporate tax and the overall tax. The region, and we have seen in the previous classes that if it is tax cut is there, and if the tax cut is not invested in the economy again, if people are keeping it for themselves, then it will not benefit anyone, and ultimately it will went down to some other countries. For example, 643 people in the case of 2020 just opted for citizenship of some foreign countries. So you see that the corporate tax that was there, the money is not flowing into the economy. Moreover, the inflationary pressure due to the dollar, inflationary pressure on the economy due to the dollar is creating further deterioration in the case of UK economy, and the Rishi Sunak argument that the wealth tax cut is not going to solve the problem of UK first of all. So further, again, if we try to see it, then we all know that Brexit was there, and it was related with the attitude crystallization again. The problem in the Britain started since the day of Brexit. So you see that again there is this chances, but right now in case of Liz Truss, the thing which we have to remember, she served only 6 weeks, and she was the shortest serving Prime Minister in case of United Kingdom. CCI has imposed this news of cyclone is also there, and this is after a gap of 3 years that cyclone, October cyclone is occurring in the case of West Bengal or Bay of Bengal. So the reason for October cyclone is that wind shear, the difference between wind speeds and the directions of two different levels is low during the time of October. Low wind shear when combined with surface sea temperature greater than 26 degree raises the likelihood of the cyclone. So this is the reason because of which we will witness the cyclone again on 25th in Bengal, Odisha, Andaman and Nicobar and Bangladesh coastal areas. But the issue is that why it is occurring after a gap of 3 years. So since 2020, La Nina was there, which created weak field and the weak shear difference. Because of this, there was a gap of 3 years in case of October cyclone. Now it will be happening again this year, and disaster management acts are enforced, people are being vacated, but as such the intensity will not that be higher. Further, there is this news on use of James Webb telescope. The important from the perspective of the prelims because it shows the proper method of star formation, that this part. Towering tendrils of cosmic dust gas set at the heart of M16, Eagle Nebula, which is a part of Milky Way. Pillars of the creation because many stars are created in this form, pillars of the creation. Hubble image and James Webb telescope has also taken the image. Further, the color, oxygen is there, sulfur is there, nitrogen and hydrogens are there. So these are the gas very important for the sense of gas creation or star creation. The wind from the stars are slowly eroding the towers of gas and dust, and probably when the moment you will see the image, you will get more clarity that such pillars are there, and this belongs from constellation Serpens. Apparent magnitude of 6, Eagle Nebula can be put telescope, but the issue is that they are nearly 4 to 5 light year long in the Milky Way itself. And you have to remember the name of the gases. export there is a news related to the export that see basically the online and offline paper are very different. So a government of India is trying to create a system based on which the data transfer or data reusability in the case of export will be there, and people can, this will reduce the overall timing that is taken in the export. Initially it was more than 24 hour. Last year it was reduced to 24 hours, and they are trying to half the time, that part. So in this case, a new system where web based registration of goods including from special economic zones would be allowed to facilitate the integration of custom system with other regulatory agencies to ensure faster clearance of consignments, and that will be a single window portal so that export can improve in a significant amount of time. Now CCI, they have fine on the MMTs and the Goya Ibibo, where these two organizations were trying to create a kind of whole marketing where they were forcing and they were going in consonance with the Oyo room to inflate the rate of the Oyo room and to force the other hotels to equalize the rate with the Oyo room. So against this, a fine was imposed on the CCI where they said that you cannot force anyone to do it, and for this purpose a $47 billion of fine was imposed on these three companies by the CCI. Further, CCI has also imposed a fine of 1539 crore rupees on Google. Why? Because they are saying that there is a visible conflict of interest, because you are giving the platform Android, and further you are licensing the app also. So you are creating a dominant position on market which you are misusing. So based on this, CCI has imposed a fine of significant fine of 15,3900 rupees. And there was one more news which yes, quote and unquote here. This is basically in relation with the, you see, we transfers the share sometimes in a hidden way so that more and more profit can be gained. So there is quote and unquote share. Well text at quote share in the relation to an equity share or a preference share means a share quoted on any recognized stock exchange with regulation from the time to time. The quotation of such share are based on current transactions made in the ordinary course of the business, and unquoted share is simply a share that is not quoted share. So see, you have understood? Not if yet. So we see that there is a trading share generally takes place in the share market, Nifty, Sensex, anywhere. So where the transfer is in the public domain and used by the different companies to buy and purchase, that is quoted share. Unquoted share, you generally for the purpose of gifting, okay, you have gifted 7% or 8% of the shares to some individual so that more and more wealth can be saved. For this purpose, there was a litigation by DHFL, and Supreme Court said that locked in shares of the promoter falls in the criteria of unquoted shares. Their price treatments cannot be part of the quoted share, so gift tax will not be applicable. So the issue is that promoters and the owners generally see, if the equity is with the promoter, then there are chances that the company will grow. So that share they reserve themselves for themselves can be a part of unquoted share, and if somebody is gifting that share to some other person, it will not fall within the ambit of tax. This was the news that has to be understood or inferred from the today's paper, and that is all for today. So thank you.